Hey friends, so I've been talking with a lot of people lately about cryptocurrency. I actually started to really dive into cryptocurrency back in 2017, back when it was on its second really large bull run to the top, when it went from $1,000 to $20,000. Now, I wish I could get in and say that I bought one Bitcoin at $1,000 and then I watched it run up to $20,000 and then I sold it and I made $19,000. That is not what happened. I actually, in June or July of 2017, I bought $8 worth of Bitcoin. It got to $10 and I sold it. But what this ended up doing is showing me that with very little effort, but a lot of research, great things can happen. And so I really started to dive into cryptocurrencies, what they are, and where they can take us in the future. I'm not going to lie and say that we have just an enormous amount that's going to make us mega multi-millionaires, but we've just accumulated some over time, and I wanted to talk about what they are, how they can impact the future, and how I truly want my friends to get into this right now because it is so incredibly early. You've heard of Bitcoin. You've probably heard of Bitcoin. There are still a lot of people out there who have not heard of it. But what you probably have not heard of is blockchain technology. So what Bitcoin is built on. You've probably never heard of Ethereum or Cardano or Chainlink or Ethos or Thedos or the list goes on and on because there are thousands and thousands of cryptocurrencies. But there's a few that I really believe in. One, I believe in Bitcoin. And actually, let's hurry and talk about what blockchain is. So on a very basic level, if you were to say you have a checkbook and you take that checkbook and you write a check out to somebody, and then that check goes to them, and then they have to bring it to their bank, and then the bank cashes it, and then the bank has to reconcile on their ledger where that money is, where it came from, and then where it's going. So when they give that money to somebody else, there's a ledger, and that ledger gets reconciled. Your ledger gets reconciled in your own checkbook. The bank's ledger gets reconciled with theirs, and their checkbook gets reconciled with essentially the central banks where they're getting their money, and the Federal Reserve, and all of that. That's a messy process. A process where if you've ever tried to balance a checkbook, you've probably messed up because it's archaic, it's old, and there's a lot of human error. Well, there's something called cryptography that has been around for a long time, and some people started to use it for some different purposes. Interestingly, Bitcoin was created by an individual, or maybe a group of individuals, named Satoshi Nakamoto. And they were really only in the game for a very short amount of time. They kind of got this technology out to a few key people and then disappeared, which is kind of interesting. We don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. We don't know if it was an individual who passed away. We don't know anything about them. But what they did was so groundbreaking and so world changing that truly the world will never be the same again. And I'm so incredibly grateful for that individual and what they started to bring to the earth. So blockchain technology is a public ledger. When, let's say that you send me 10 Satoshis. Now, a Satoshi is 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. So when you hear Bitcoin and you see that the price is at $40,000, a lot of people are like, well, can I buy shares of Bitcoin? How does that work? Yes, you can buy up to a millionth of a Bitcoin. Now, that's so small that it ends up being in fractions of pennies. And so you can buy $1 of Bitcoin. You could buy $2 of Bitcoin, $3. Now, brokers that are out there, there's a few. There's Voyager. I really like Voyager. There's Coinbase. There's Exodus. There's different like wallets where you can keep your cryptocurrencies. Most of those are going to charge fees. The more you're spending, it seems like the more fees. But what's so great about cryptocurrency is the blockchain that's behind it. So it's a publicly reconciled ledger. Now, in the beginning, it was a proof of work algorithm, meaning that people actually had to go in and they had to reconcile that ledger, and then essentially they would bid for who gets the block of reconciled ledgers, and then they would earn Bitcoin. Now that turned into where there's so many transactions now that it's not efficient to do it on a laptop. You really need to have huge servers and systems and computer megaliths that are set up in order to do it. But it's a profitable industry for those who are doing it. And so they still are, and they will continue to do it. So Bitcoin get mined in that way. Now, what's cool about Bitcoin is every 4 years, we have something that's called a halving. So they take the supply of Bitcoin and they cut it in half. Now, the genius behind this is the scarcity. As the dollar just gets printed and printed and printed. In this regard, you have, instead of quantitative easing, where we're just printing money, you actually have quantitative hardening, where the supply gets cut. Now, we're seeing a massive supply shock in Bitcoin right now. In fact, some exchanges, when you go to buy it, you can't because they don't have it. So many institutions, multimillionaires, billionaires, hedge funds, and even private companies are buying Bitcoin right now that truly anything under $50,000 is going to be an absolute steal. It's not a steal. It's an investment, and it's smart. Come September, October, November of next year, you're going to be wishing hardcore that you would have bought Bitcoin underneath $50,000, because truly, like this year, it will probably hit $150,000 or $200,000. Now, that's only Bitcoin. That's not the other ones that I talked about, like Ethereum, Chainlink, Cardano, Zcash, Monero. The list goes on and on. We've had a lot of fun with it because, aside from making some percentage gains, which is always fun to see your money make money, the underlying technology is what's really exciting. So all of this voter fraud that just happened, and it did. There's people that are being arrested for voter fraud right now. So there was voter fraud. I'm not going to get into the politics of, is there enough that Trump would have got voted in or what. Just that aside, there is voter fraud. There wouldn't be if we would do it on a blockchain-based election platform. It would be where you go in, your identity gets verified, you vote, it goes onto the blockchain, and it cannot be changed, and fraud cannot happen. This could be done on a few different cryptocurrency platforms or blockchains, but one that would really just make it happen really well is Cardano, a guy named Charles Hoskinson. Absolute genius and just a complete innovator in the field. He was, I think, either the co-founder or he was the CEO of Ethereum, and then left that company and built Cardano. And they're making deals with countries, and there's something called smart contracts that are on blockchain technology too, which is really exciting. I got this example from a guy named Ben on a YouTube channel the other day, and it makes so much sense, and it makes smart contracts, which smart contracts, I'm getting excited, so it's just tough to get my mind in one place here. Smart contracts can be done on this blockchain technology. Okay, I'm really sorry. Let me go back, because I talked about proof of work, where you reconcile the ledger and then you earn Bitcoin due to the work that you've put in with reconciling the ledger. There's another consensus, and that's proof of stake. Proof of stake is where you actually take some of your cryptocurrency and you stake it with the company that has created it, and you earn cryptocurrency from the crypto that you have staked with the company. Our number one holding is with Cardano, that Charles Hoskinson company, IOHK, the Cardano Foundation. And so every 5 days, we earn a reward for keeping our cryptocurrency with the Cardano Foundation. That's proof of stake algorithm. Now, these blockchains you can build contracts on. And these are the contracts of the future. The paper's gone. There's no reason for paper and scanning it in and keeping that paper in a file for so many years and this and that, when we can just put it onto the blockchain and that file can be compressed down so small that it takes up almost no room at all. And the way that smart contracts work is the same. This is what I was talking about with that Ben guy. He said it's the same as a vending machine. You go up to it and you go, hey, I'd like a Coke. Well, there's a few things that need to happen in order for you to get that Coke. So you're going to take your card out and you're going to swipe your card. And in swiping your card, you are transferring a currency to that vending machine who's putting it through a credit card processor where they get your money. And then there's a value exchange there, right? You're giving them dollars for a Coke. Now, once the steps have been taken and each step is check marked, the transaction is done. Your money is given to the company and the Coke comes out and you drink it. And if it's diet with lime, it is amazing and tastes so good. That's essentially what a smart contract is. Now, that can be done in so many different ways. That can be done with titles for houses. That can be done with titles for vehicles. That can be done with birth certificates, death certificates, certificates of occupancy. It could literally be everything that we have to do with paper and contracts and anything. It can be done on that. It is the future in so many different ways. And that's what gets me more excited about it than anything. Something that Kira and I focus on a lot is just trying to add value to the world. I want this world to be a better place. Everybody that I come in contact with, I try so hard to just be that positive light. And man, do I have issues, okay? Please know that I know that I have many issues. But I want the world to be a better place. I truly do. And I don't believe that the failing dollar is putting us there. I don't believe that a large socialistic government gets us there. And that's my beliefs. Now, I have friends that are very much leaning towards socialism, and I disagree with them. They're still my friends. You can still love, even though I think they're very wrong. And we have these conversations. That's the difference, is online you can just shout at each other and it goes nowhere. In real life, you can actually sit down and be like, hey, I disagree and this is why. Okay, I see your point here, but what about this? If you're listening to me for this long, I'm not that exciting to listen to, so you probably care about this. Cryptocurrency is the future in so many different ways. If you have any questions about it, you're welcome to get a hold of us, and we'd love to chat about it and just tell you how we got into it, how you can get into it, and how we can use it to help change the world. It has changed the lives already of so many people that never would have had the opportunity to have their lives changed in a specific manner. I'll be honest, I wish that I would have ridden that $8 all the way to the top and had it be, a few hundred. But you live and learn, and we've learned since then. Right now we're in another bull run. I could see Bitcoin getting to 150 or 200,000 by the end of the year. Ethereum will probably We'll probably see $10,000 this year on Ethereum. Right now it's sitting at $1,000. It'll probably have a 10x this year. Cardano, the one that I'm most excited about, it's sitting at about 3 cents right now. It'll probably be a $4 or $5 token at the end of the year, or coin at the end of the year. They have so much coming out right now. So many good things. And that company is out there to change the world. Their goal is to have 1 billion users. And 1 billion users on that platform would make the world a better place. So exciting. There's others that I can talk about. And if people are interested too, we broke out all of our holdings into percentages and what they are. Like I said, we don't have a ton in there. It's not gonna make us billionaires by any stretch of the imagination, but these companies are going to change the world, and it's really exciting. So if you guys have any questions about it, please let us know. It's just fun. So have a good night, and think good thoughts. We can head in some pretty good places right now. I feel like the days are a little dark, but it doesn't mean that it can't lighten up. We can make those days better. Bright times ahead, at least in the mid to long term.